Project managers will be needed in large numbers across the world soon. I sat down with Herman Groenewald. He's the director of HBG Project Management Consulting. Herman is an internationally certified project manager since 2013 and has also moved into the project management training industry. So you are more than welcome to contact him if you need to know what your next move in your project management career is. Let's talk business. Good morning, Herman. So nice to have you here with me today on the Strategy Maker podcast. We started working together about more than a year ago already, and I got to learn a tiny bit about project management from you. So I would like you to introduce yourself and tell our audience what you are all about first, personally and in your career, and then we will start discussing your business.
Yeah, thank you very much. Good morning, and thanks for having me. Okay, just a little bit about myself. My name is Herman Groenewald. And I grew up in the Northern Cape, in a place called Posmasburg, small little town there, not so small anymore, but when I was there, it was still small. So, from there on, I went to study at the University of Pretoria. After finishing school, I studied political science and strategic studies. And then basically the first part of my career, I was employed in that field and I focused on that field. And then basically midway through my career, I made a career change and moved over to project management, went back to university and studied advanced project management. And then in 2013, I started my own business in project management, HBG Project Management, and I have been busy with that ever since. So, yeah, just very shortly, that is me and what I do for a living.
That's quite an interesting journey you had. I didn't realize, well, I think we have spoke about our backgrounds. I'm also a Northern Cape girl from Frisco. So we know harsh winters and warm, hot summers and far off places. So that's actually, I always say that the Northern Cape people are from a different breed because we know how to persevere. So tell me more about HBG Project Management Consulting. First of all, what are the services you offer and what is this all about?
Okay, so HBG Project Management, as I've mentioned, I started the company in 2013. And basically, the company focuses on two areas of project management. The first one is project management training. So where we provide different training services, training courses for project managers from very basic level up to international certification level. And then the other leg of the business is the consulting part. So doing consulting on projects, looking at client projects at maturity levels, how well they are doing, and then assisting clients, if their projects doesn't work with regards to setting it up correctly, getting their processes in place, and then also, managing projects for clients. So those are the two major areas that we focus on in the business. Currently, throughout the COVID period, there was also quite a lot of changes that we had to make to the business, going fully online with all our training courses, which wasn't like that before. So that also opened up some different opportunities for us along the way.
What I didn't realize when I started working with you is that project management, from my point of view, I always thought, okay, it's mostly engineers and obviously in this construction business and property development, stuff like that you need a project manager, which is obviously one of the main industries. But tell me other kind of industries or businesses that needs project managers these days.
Yeah, traditionally, project management was just or basically emanated out of those kind of industries, your building engineering industry, military industries, places like that. But the world has changed quite a bit. And also basically every single industry now does projects and do business on project management principles. So the industries that are really, or that really came to the forefront in the last few years are basically the services industry. And most services companies run really, really big projects. And then also on the digital side, there are loads and loads of companies in the digital space that are now doing projects as well. And it's becoming very prominent in those areas. Basically, a third area as well is the environmental side. So environmental project management is also something that is really taking off in terms of, running projects in an environmentally friendly manner, and also, doing it responsibly at the end of the day. So yeah, actually across the whole spectrum of business and business environments, companies are doing projects because they don't really have a choice. You need to be agile these days. You need to pivot very quickly in the changing environments that we are in, and projects help you to do that in your business.
And I assume if you do project management, obviously it is to keep to a timeline, a time frame, but also to save the project money, to deliver on the exact times, and to use your resources to the full limit. So there's a huge cost factor embedded in project management.
Yeah, for sure. Basically, there are quite a lot of constraints that you need to look at when it comes to a project. And basically, your three major constraints is cost. First of all, because everything costs money, your time or your schedules, and then your scope or what you need to do in the project. So if you can control and manage those three aspects in a project, then most probably your project will be successful. On the other hand, if those three things get out of control, then the project normally runs over time and over budget, and there needs to be corrections made the whole time. And some of the times the projects fail because of certain influences, either inside or outside the project, that influences one of the three constraints that I just talked about, and then normally the project comes crashing down, or it needs to be changed as you go on with the project.
And in a typical meeting, project management meeting, say for instance you're working on a project, a construction project with a team, who will all be part of the meeting?
Yeah, normally it depends. You've got different kinds of meetings, but normally the project team and the project manager, of course, your client, your service providers that you utilize on the project. So it depends on the kind of meetings that you have as well. If you have site meetings, then most probably your contractors will be there with the project manager. If you have feedback meetings to higher authority or your project sponsor or your client, then different people are in the different meetings. So the one thing is that in a project, there are normally quite a lot of meetings because there's loads of communication that needs to take place, especially if the project has kicked off and being executed at the end of the day. And the project manager is actually pivotal there to make sure that the communication and very clear communication goes out to all the different parties and the different stakeholders involved in the project, and also to coordinate everything that needs to happen in the project as the project then progresses.
So in order to consider doing project management as a career, what kind of, first of all, obviously personal skills you need, but what kind of personality will fit this kind of job well?
Okay, look, in different industries, obviously you need different kinds of people. So most probably an engineer is not the same personality type as a digital marketer, for example. But in order to run a project as a project manager and do it successfully, firstly, I would say a person needs to be a generalist, not so much a specialist. You have people working on the project as part of your project team that are specialists in certain areas, but the person who coordinates everything and makes sure that the project works correctly, the project manager, in other words, must be a generalist. So that person must have a different or quite a wide range of skills, things like good planning skills, good people skills, or managing people, because you work with people the whole time, communication skills, negotiation skills. So just to mention a few, so there's quite a lot of different skill sets or skills that you need to have in your little toolbox, and that is quite essential for doing projects successfully. And because it is such a diverse environment that you need to work in, and you need to manage up and down and horizontally. So you need to equip yourself to be able to do that successfully at the end of the day.
So the way I see it is that the project manager is kind of the pivotal point, and everything flows through that person. So I must ask you, what do you do with the guys or team members that doesn't keep to the time limit? And if you really think they are just slack, they're not listening, or they're not bringing their part?
Yeah, well, that's always a challenge for every manager, I guess. And the thing in project management is you are normally on quite a tight deadline, and normally you don't have enough time to finish the project. So I think what is really important there is from the beginning that the team members that are working with you, and as well as your service providers and contractors, you need to be very clear with them from the beginning on what is the time constraints, what is their role in the project, and if they don't complete things on time, what is the effect of that down the line in terms of a project. Because everything is linked to one another in a project. It is, there's a chain reaction that goes down the line if something runs over time or you don't make your schedule. So that's the first thing. I think good and clear communication is really important. And then the second thing is people need to take responsibility for what they need to do on the project. And if you can get that right, then you are halfway there. So it's a really good idea if you set up a project that the team members around you are really competent people that are willing to work on the project, and also that are, dynamic self-starters, that if you give them work to do, that they will do it. You give them deadlines, they deliver on the deadlines. Otherwise, your job becomes really, really difficult, because as a project manager, you need to look at quite a lot of different aspects. And then if your people management then becomes overpowering, then the project management function actually moves to the background, and then you start running into trouble.
Yeah. So obviously, like you mentioned, project management has shifted into different industries, and what I've seen is obviously the IT part. So it's not only digital systems and your online presence and the digital marketing side, but it's also your IT processes and IT structures in bigger companies. If you must tell an 18-year-old today, what do they need to consider to maybe go and study to get into this space?
Yeah, there's quite a lot of different opportunities out there, and there are more and more of them opening up, as new jobs are created, technology is advancing, and in different areas, IT and digital, and even in the traditional project management spaces like construction, etc., there's quite a lot of new technologies and positions opening up. So I would say that someone needs to have a look at, if they want to, or if they are the kind of people that want to go into this kind of industry. First of all, they need to be someone that can handle change. They need to be someone that can manage difficult situations and stay calm and do what they need to do. And yeah, then, I think it is a very good career because according to the Project Management Institute, over the next 5 to 7 years worldwide, there are going to be something like 8 or 9 million project managers needed for new projects. Wow. So the scope is out there in terms of, people going into the industry, and the industry can still just grow and grow and grow. And it normally will grow with new technologies. So, there's also a lot of supporting industries to projects. Just a simple example, if you look at technology, you don't have to be a project manager in a technology field. You can be a specialist and still work on projects, and get those skills from there. So there's quite a vast array of different jobs and opportunities available for someone that wants to study project management. And if you want to study it, that's fine, but there's another route that you can do as well, and that is basically to start working for a company, and through the company, with your experience, start building up your project management knowledge through courses, through certifications, those kind of things as well.
Okay. And just to be clear, tell us how do you define a project?
Well, a project normally, if we can break it down to the bare bones here, it's a change intervention. Okay, so basically it is something that takes you from point A to point B. And normally in an organization or privately as well, a project you can see as you have a current situation which isn't working, or there's something wrong, or something needs to change, and you want to move to somewhere else. And the way to get there is basically a project, because moving from point A to point B, you need to plan how you're going to do it. You need to look at cost, you need to look at resources, you need to look at all of these constraints that we talked about. And then you need to make a plan on how you are going to do it, because it's not going to happen on its own. You as the project manager must manage it from point A to point B successfully at the end of the day. Okay, so yeah, that's basically how I would just very quickly sum up what is a project.
Okay, so currently, obviously, the whole world is moving through this pandemic situation, and I'm sure the construction, building, project management industry has been affected hugely. What are the trends that you see? How severe is it? Is it concerning? Do you see a lot of people struggling, or are people heading forward?
Yeah, I think it's influenced different aspects of industry in a different manner. For example, your traditional, if you can talk about the more traditional project management industries like building and construction and so forth, I think they were really hard hit, especially with hard lockdowns and things like that. But then if you look at the online environment, through COVID, it was pushed absolutely to the forefront. People just went online with everything. So in that space, there was a lot of development and a lot of work and a lot of opportunities that came out of a crisis. So I think it affected people in a different manner. If I can just speak on behalf of my business, before COVID, our online training was 5%, 10% of our whole business. And then throughout COVID, it became 100%. We had to just move online, which we did. And now I would say we are not post-COVID yet, but we are open, much more open than with the hard lockdowns. I would say 80% is online training now, and I don't think it's going to change in future. So yeah, there were different ways that it influenced different organizations. But I think in general, there were a lot of people that went through really hard times, especially the small, medium to smaller businesses. not only through COVID, but also through, the whole environment where we are currently in South Africa in terms of the economic situation. And also, I think what had a big influence, and it was just exacerbated by COVID, is the, how can I call this, the hostile business environment that we need to work in currently in South Africa due to government policies.
Okay, so that plays a big role. If I can mention one word, listening to you, it seems to me that a project manager must be able to solve problems from the start of the day till the end of the day, and you obviously need people to help solve those problems and a plan and all of that. So if you don't have a lot of tenacity and you don't like to work through problem solving, I would not think you would like to do this kind of business or job. So before we move on to the training part, which I think is an important part for your business, I would like you to tell us about an interesting incident while you were managing a project, or something fun that happened perhaps, or even very dangerous that happened while you were working on a project.
Let's start with the dangerous one first.
Okay.
In 2017, we were busy with a maintenance project on a building, and the building was, I think, 17 or 18 stories high, and we were working on top of the building. And we had a site meeting on top of the building, and the client and a lot of other people were there. And unfortunately, we couldn't have the meeting anywhere else. We had to have it on site there. And one of the people went to the edge of the building to look down, and the safety officer nearly had a heart attack, because if that person would have fallen off there would have been major issues. So yeah, you need to look out for those kind of things as well. So yeah, these kind of things do happen. And you need to be on your game the whole time to make sure that everyone is aligned to what you're doing, because not all people that come on site or that are busy or with the project are always in tune with the rules and regulations and the safety aspects of a project, especially if work is taking place in a project.
So I would think you must consider where you have your site meetings.
Yeah, for sure. You need to, but sometimes you need to be on site. You need to be on site to show people certain things. So you just need to make sure that everything is done according to the book. And then, I've done a few projects overseas as well. And that was quite challenging, different cultures, different language. And if you have to work through interpreters and you need to do projects, you need to really stay calm and keep cool, because there's loads of communication problems that takes place. People understand you or don't understand you correctly. But you learn through that, and you learn to speak sign language, and your nuances. People get what you try to tell them at the end of the day.
Yeah, that can be, a lot can be lost in translation. And I suppose in other countries, people use different methods and different building materials, or different structuring methods and all of that. So you need to catch up with all the way they approach things.
Yeah.
So
sure.
A big part of your business is obviously your training courses. Tell me, when did you start developing these courses, and why is this one of your focuses?
I actually started developing project management training courses way before I, started my own business, because I worked for other companies. And in their project management department, and we did a lot of training there. So a lot of that knowledge I brought over to my own business when I started it in 2013. And yeah, we started basically off with one course, just a very basic project management course. And from there on, we built out the courses, so today we have basically courses on all the different project management levels, from introduction to project management up to your, PMP certification courses and preparation courses for international certification and everything in between. And then also, quite a lot of some clients that we had over the years wanted to have specific courses. So we tailor-made certain courses for them that only look at a certain aspect of project management or different methodologies that they use, because people or companies use different methodologies. For example, the banking industry and SARS use a different methodology than, for example, a construction company, and so forth and so forth. So we cater for those kind of things as well. And yeah, we basically present the courses, and our main focus in the course. Oh yes, before I go to the main focus, our courses are accredited and non-accredited, so we do actually both. And the simple reason for that is some companies want it accredited, go through the CETA system and get the credits for that. But other companies just want the skills. They want their people to have the actual project management skills. And that is our main focus as well with our courses, is to give people the skills to go and do the projects, because project management is a practical discipline. You need to have the skill to do it. It doesn't help you only have the book knowledge. So all of our courses are based on theory and practice. So basically 50-50. So you need to have the theory, but you need to understand how to take the theory and convert it into practically applying it in the work situation and thinking on your feet when you are busy with a project in order to make it successful at the end of the day.
So we will share your website and where people can get hold of these courses, because currently you are actually doing everything online and everything is available that they can either buy it on your website or they can join for the bigger BMP course. But tell me, if you need to guide me through it, I want to start now. Which course do I need to do first?
Well, most people, okay, let me say it like this. Let's say you are a school leaver now and you just came out of school. I would say you need to do the introduction to project management, because then it is really an introduction where we just introduce you to all the different concepts, how it works, etc., etc. But if you do have some work experience already, then most probably you've been exposed to a project along the way somewhere. So normally we advise people that are already working or studied already to do the fundamentals of project management. So that gives you a very good basis of what a project is about, how to plan the project in the correct manner, and then also, in terms of the execution, how you need to do the project successfully. And from there on, you can then move up the ladder, if I can call it like that, to more advanced project management courses where we dig deeper into the nuances of actually doing the project correctly. So the execution or the implementation of that. And then, after that, we do have the higher certification courses, but those are for experienced project managers that has quite a lot of experience already, in actually leading projects at the end of the day.
So the entry-level ones that you've mentioned is available on your website to purchase from there, and you do it on your own timeline as a self-study.
Yeah, there's basically 3 ways that you can do the courses. The first one is face-to-face. That's a classroom situation. And before COVID, we did quite a lot of that at companies. So we go to the company, the people are there, and we do the courses for them. The second way is it's kind of like a hybrid course. So we do it online, but it's facilitator-led. So there's a facilitator. It's like a normal class, but it's just online. And then the third way is totally online. It is a standalone course, which you can do on your own time. There's video clips, there's exercises, and you purchase the course and you do it on your own time. And then, you do it on our platform. And then, after you finish, we give you a certificate of completion after that course.
which make it even better for people who works, for instance, in other countries. They're far away from home and they've got some time to kill in the evening. So they only actually need internet access and they can still keep studying while they're working.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is one of the major benefits of doing something online. You can study anytime that you want to.
But I'm sure you miss the interaction sometimes, that you would like to have interaction with your students, or feedback, or questions.
Yeah, that is true. With the facilitator-led courses, you get quite a lot of that, but it's not the same as face-to-face. The face-to-face courses actually, I think, for knowledge transfer and learning from one another and learning from the facilitator is still the best way to do it. But yeah, you change with the situation as it is, and you play the situation that is in front of you. So if you need to do it online, you need to do it online, and we try to make the experience as best as possible. Luckily, with some of the platforms that we use, like Zoom, they are upgrading that the whole time, so people can now go into breakaway rooms and talk to one another, and then come back to the main room and we discuss it. So the simulation is more or less the same now as face-to-face, but still face-to-face is actually the best.
And you also have an interactive Facebook group where your students or interested people can communicate with you or ask questions.
Yeah, for the higher level courses, we do have that. It's a closed Facebook group where we all the people that join our courses are automatically part of that, and then they can access quite a lot of extra material and resources and videos that we post there. And it helps them with their preparations, especially with the international certifications and so forth. And they can post questions there, and it's a forum that you can talk to. But yeah, it's a closed group, so you need to sign up for the courses, and then you get access to all that extra resources as well.
Okay, so for our audience, we will share all Herman's credentials below the video, where you can get hold of him or access all these courses. So Herman, I want to discuss the BMP Prep course, because I think this is the main thing that we see a big shift in. A lot of people do have the experience in the different industries, and all of a sudden they either want to immigrate or they want to be able to get international contracts and play in the bigger area of the industries. Tell us, what is the BMP Prep course all about?
Yeah, I agree with you. We've seen a lot of that in the last year or so, especially in South Africa. But yeah, the BMP Prep course is the preparation for the project management professional exam that are being administered by the Project Management Institute in America. And the course is set up in such a way that it prepares you to go and write the exam and to pass it successfully the first time around, because it is a really difficult exam. It's an international exam, so the standards are quite high for this exam, and one needs to prepare really well. So what we do is we have for that course an international handbook, that's been recognized internationally as one of the better handbooks in the world that we use. And we have a partnership with an American company with regards to this. And then also, as part of that whole package, we have a PMP exam simulator, which is a really, really nice tool with over 2,000 exam questions, some really difficult questions that people use to prepare themselves for the exam. So those are the two major things that we have in the course and that we utilize, and in order to prepare people thoroughly for the course. And then obviously there's quite a lot of facilitator intervention as well, and we discuss quite a lot of the different topics, questions, what to expect on the exam, and also how to prepare yourself thoroughly for the exam and answer the questions correctly.
But people also do need to submit the portfolios to the PMI in order to be able to do the exam.
Yes. Yeah.
And what would you recommend them on that portfolio before obviously they've got the experience, but to make life easier for them, how can they prepare them for the portfolio?
Yeah, the portfolio basically consists out of your experience with regards to being a project manager, managing projects and leading projects. So depending on your qualifications that you have, if you have a degree, you need to be able to show 3 years of being in charge of projects or being a project manager or a lead project manager. And if you don't have a degree, it is 5 years. So before you write the exam, you need to put this together, upload it on your profile at PMI. They look at it and then they will tell you if it is sufficient or not. We also give you quite a lot of guidelines in terms of that, you know, there's not this back and forth between you and the PMI the whole time, that you submit it once and it's fine. And then the PMI will then send you a letter or an email these days to say, yes, you qualify for the exam, and then you can go on and start writing the exam.
And how do you actually do the exam?
Well, there are 2 ways that you can do the exam. You can go to an exam center. The PMI use Pearson VUE as internationally as their preferred exam center, and there's quite a few of them in South Africa as well. It's part and parcel of the course. We give you all the instructions of how to go there, you know, or where they are rather, and how to book for your course on, or for your exam, sorry, on their system and so forth. And the other way is that you can do it through the PMI itself. We call it a proctored exam, where the PMI have a proctor on the other side of your camera. And that person then basically see or check that you do the exam correctly. So you can sit in your sitting room or in your wherever you want to, and you can do the exam from there, depending obviously on you know, how you book the exam and if the proctors are available, because you know, the chances are very good that your proctor may be sitting in America or in India or wherever the case might be.
So that one is actually the timeline permitting. So you might be sitting in South Africa and do it like during the night, because your proctor only logs in. Sure. Okay. So the training industry in itself is so competitive these days, because you can literally learn to do anything online, and I think it's even more competitive in the project management part. What do you offer your students that sets you apart from your competition?
I think the main thing is, and I've mentioned it before, is the whole point of view is that you need to make sure, or we need to make sure, that you have the practical skills to go and do the project. So yes, it's all good and well to check out a YouTube video on how someone else has done it, but the thing is, can you do it? And in the courses, it is set up in such a way that with the practical exercises that we do, we actually teach you how to go and implement the theoretical part of project management. Because if you don't have the theory under control, it becomes very difficult to do it practically. And you need to know, if things do go wrong in a project, what do you need to do? And the only way that you can do that is to know theory and practical, or practice, and bring the two together, you know, as a coherent whole at the end of the day. So I think that that's the one area that we really focus on, and make sure that people, once they've done the course, that they understand what project management is actually about, and also can then immediately go out and start doing it and implementing it in their work environments, to start making an immediate impact on the projects that they are busy with.
Which is all you can, well, that's a need today. You can't only have book knowledge, you must be able to go and implement, obviously.
Yeah, for sure.
The PMI has shifted gears earlier this year, I think in January 2021, and they've upgraded the standards of this whole process as well, and they've included a few new concepts as well. Which ones do we need to know about?
Okay, previously the exam, the PMP exam, only focused on the project management body of knowledge, the PMBOK methodology. And that is the biggest methodology in the world currently. There are a few other ones as well, but that is the one being used globally the most by most companies. So what happened is that with the changing environment, especially with, as we talked about, technology being very prominent these days and different spheres of business coming into play when it comes to projects now, it became necessary to change the point of view and to also change the exam as well. So what they've done is they've included the agile methodology as well in the exam, because agile as a methodology is getting a lot of traction these days, especially in your IT environment, in your digital environment, and the way that, environments where there's a high rate of change taking place in projects. And your traditional or waterfall kind of project management doesn't work so well there. It works really well if you do construction projects, but not in the IT environment, because there are constant changes taking place the whole time. So you need to be much more agile in the way that you set up projects and manage the changes. So that is the major change that took place. And with the new exams, you need to prepare for both the methodologies. So actually, it's double the work than before. But at the end of the day, it makes you a much more rounded off project manager with knowledge of different methodologies as well.
I assume the globalization and obviously the whole world moving online that's the reason why we need the agile approach as well, because changes are so quick. It's within days and you can't roll it out over months as to the traditional methods. Okay, so I want to ask you about a few business things, how you approach it and how do you see it. Are you following a specific business model for your business, or do you have a specific strategy that you're currently pursuing?
Yeah, basically the business model, and I think also with the whole COVID situation, things changed quite a lot. But the whole business model that I follow is the projectized business model. So that means flat business structure, outsourcing quite a lot of work, and utilizing people on a contract basis. So in other words, if we have projects to do, I get in certain people in a network that I know can do the work. I bring them into the project, they do the work, we pay them, they move out of the project or the business. So the whole idea is to keep your business agile, that you can change very quickly with situations that change around you, and you don't have a lot of overhead. These days we can do most of what we need to do online. And also, they talk about pivoting, that you can pivot your business quite quickly and can, apply what you need to do in different environments and different clients quite quickly. So that's basically the business model that I follow, and it works really well. And yeah, there's always work to be done on a business model, but as we go along, we refine it and see how we can make it better.
So are there specific business principles or business skills that you struggle with?
Yeah, there are. There's always room for improvement. I think the major one, as most small businesses or medium-sized businesses as well, struggle with the marketing side of it, because normally as a project manager, you are more inclined to do the planning and the execution of projects. But if you need to run a business, you need to look at the marketing side as well. And that is sometimes a really, really big challenge, because if something in a project needs to happen now, it needs to happen now. And then everything is moved to the back burner. And most probably the marketing goes to the back burner as well. And marketing is really necessary. Otherwise, you don't have new clients, you can't move forward, etc., etc. So that is one aspect where I think a lot of work still needs to be done. And it's something that I work on a continuous basis. I also must say that from 3 years ago up to now, we've come a long way, especially with digital marketing, marketing in different channels, and reaching a wider audience of people, but there's still a lot of work to do in that area for sure.
And which methods do you currently find feasible? Which platforms do you use?
Use Facebook quite a lot for advertising, YouTube, placing videos on YouTube. I've really in the last year focused quite a lot on YouTube, and only now it starts getting traction. It takes quite a while to do it, but there are some of the videos that are getting good traction now, especially internationally. So yeah, Google as well. We used Google before, not so much at this stage, but it's also one of the areas that you can utilize quite well. And then obviously your all of those things needs to be linked to your website, and your website needs to be up and running. And you can do a lot of things these days with your website in terms of, especially if you have online courses, the selling of courses, getting people to your website and giving them a good experience of what your business is about.
Which part of the business energizes you the most? The ones that you do first thing in the morning because you like it?
Looking how many views I have on the videos.
So, obviously, yeah. Or how many leads were generated.
Yeah, for sure. There's quite a lot of them that energizes me. Obviously, if you're busy with campaigns to get new clients, there's always follow-ups to do, and talk to the clients and see what their requirements are. But then also, the whole planning aspect to start something up from new. I like to do that quite often, where there was nothing, creating something and doing the planning and see, how that progresses. So yeah, I like that aspect of the business quite a lot.
And which ones do you leave for last?
Yeah, I would say the marketing stuff normally, but then the admin stuff as well. Yeah, we all need to do admin, and sometimes you just need to sit down and do the admin, but it's not the exciting part of the business, but it's part and parcel of it. So you don't get paid if you don't do the admin. So one needs to do that as well, and just get your head around that and do it.
I must tell you what, I've been an entrepreneur for so many years, and in my first little businesses that I've started, I've always, and that was still the time of hard copies. You keep the invoicing and you've got files and all of that. The digital side is so much better for me. I'm really getting better at that skill. And I think from where we've come and how you can manage your own business now on literally one device makes life a lot easier. Yeah. Although things can still slip through the cracks because you're postponing everything. Future plans, let's talk about that. Where do you see your business in a few years' time?
Okay, obviously everyone wants to grow their business. So one of the major goals that I have is within the next 2 to 3 years to have at least 50 to 80% of clients overseas. And I think that just comes out of the whole South African situation that we are in terms to be realistic about that. So that's one of the major things where I'm pushing towards. And then also the other major push now is to do quite a lot more consulting work on projects for clients, because with the whole COVID situation, at certain stages that came to a total dead stop because of hard lockdowns and so forth. And as companies start recovering, I think that's going to be one of the big areas for growth in the future. So those are the two main things that I'm looking at currently.
You know what, a few years ago, the buzzword was globalization. And I never thought we will get to the point where a single owner, entrepreneur will be able to access that global platform so easily. You only need a developed product and obviously a marketing budget, and hopefully you will access that fragment or segment of the market as well. So let's talk about your personal things, a few insightful things that we can learn from you. Are you a reader? Which is your, do you have favorite books? Maybe a business book or
Yeah, I do read quite a lot if I do have the time, and I like doing readings. So I'm busy now with a book, The Small Business Entrepreneur by Rory Burke. I've read the book before, but the second time around, I read it in more detail. So I'm busy with that one currently. And then on top of that, there's always 3 or 4 other books lying around that I'm reading at the same time. I like to read novels as well, spy stories, things like that, and also a lot of history stuff.
Okay.
Because I do like that as well. So there's always like 3 or 4 books lying around that I'm busy with reading over time.
Okay, so you do read fiction as well?
Yeah, quite a lot of that as well, if I do have the time.
Yeah, obviously. And I think our problem, I'm also a keen reader, but I see that there's a total distraction for me with online videos. It's quicker to watch a video than to read through the whole book or even read a discussion of the book. But you must have a sit down and say to yourself, it's not the real thing before you have really read the book. What I also see, like you said now with the book the second time around, I think you get more out of specifically such a book that you're reading now or referring to is because you have developed and because your business has impacted on you. You catch new phrases or new things make sense to you to implement in your businesses.
Yeah. No, for sure.
So we're going to share obviously all your social media channels and where people can follow you. And as well as your website that we can do. Do you have specific icons in the industry where you work in? Are there people that we need to know about?
Yeah, actually, I'm just thinking quickly. There are quite a lot of people, but one of the icons that I follow quite a lot is Elon Musk. He's not totally in the project management industry, but I do like what he's doing for a few reasons. I think he's got a lot of tenacity. When the naysayers was on him, he just put his head down, he went ahead and he did what he had to do. And over time, he built a huge company, very successful companies, and also he's a trendsetter now. And he's one of the people that are creating the blue oceans that we talk about, or that people talk about, and you know, absolutely pushing the frontiers and the envelope in certain areas. So I think there's a lot that can be learned from him in terms of business and just you know, coming from South Africa and being a global player, you can do that. You know, if you have the tenacity to do that at the end of the day. So I follow the things that he does quite a lot. And there's always something new with him. If he's not busy boring tunnels in the ground, he's sending people to Mars and so forth and so forth. So yeah, I like what he does.
I think he's one of those people that doesn't want to hear the word no. He wants to hear, I will think about it, I will work on it, I will adjust whatever, but you don't tell him no, Elon, it's not going to work. So
for sure.
I think that kind of personality is needed in the current situation we're in. Okay, so we're going to conclude, and I am going to fire a few words at you, and you must give me a rapid answer on that. You can either give one word or maybe a short description. So my
Okay.
first word I want to ask you is entrepreneurship.
Tenacity.
Work ethic.
Very much needed these days.
Globalization.
Opportunity.
And growth.
Hard work.
Yeah, that's sure. And then the last one I want to ask you is Mercedes-Benz.
History. And also, or let me say it like this, the use of history to a positive, in a positive manner to shape your future. That's how I see them.
Amazing. Just for our viewers, Herman is a keen Mercedes-Benz, what will I call you? Support
yeah, it's one of my passions.
Yeah, it's
one
absolutely
of my passions.
one of his passions that he pursues in his free time. Herman, it was such a pleasure to have you and to learn about the project management industry and your business. We're certainly going to share everything with our audience, and if there's anybody who wants to contact you, they will be able to find you online. And thanks for being with us. I hope you have an amazing journey forward and that your business will be blessed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thanks for having me here.
Bye-bye.
Bye.